Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's reports for the 25th. Well, we had a little bit of that follow through and we broke through the support as expected there. Did hold up on the 38% and just revisited the lows that we had kind of seen within the last, since the beginning of the year. And then all we have left is what was the start of the year, though none of that was under positive extreme. We were right at the edge of it, but didn't quite get there. And you can see MBI White still leads. A little less stride than it was before. And certainly we're still within that uh, orange caught between cyan and red, which is a continuation, but it's falling, so that could give a little bit of support. But you can see at minus 25 on DOC from a green standpoint, you're getting into the automatic buyback reversal, and minus 18 on red DOC. If you get into the minus 20 range, then it's anywhere between 2023 range. You're gonna see it bounce back. Shakeout continues to be negative, as you can see, even from the Nasdaq standpoint. So no change from that standpoint as well, and much deeper in the field from a NQ standpoint, simply because tech was obviously taking a little bit rougher, given what we're seeing in crypto space and that as well. It sort of followed through a little bit down to the 23%, but held up nicely there. But it's pretty close to matching where we were right there at the beginning of February, and not quite all the way the full spike that was at the end of January, but close enough. And you can see treasuries again forcing money back into the market because everyone's flowing their money towards that. Yield continues to drop. So the first inkling of a turnaround, and you'll see that reverse pretty quickly. But this was a big one here for oil, finally dipping well below that 70 range. And that's the first indication that you could start to see some abatement on inflation. And that would be a big deal. It's got a ways to go, but it was certainly a start, and it's something we've been looking for since January 20th. And it's sort of been in a pause mode. But if they're able to work out something with Russia and peace, again, that changes the whole dynamic of sanctions and that and what's available. And that would certainly be a huge improvement supply-wise and make a big difference. From a euro standpoint, obviously, lower oil is helpful, but to what extent the eurozone is going to benefit from this? Not a whole lot. In fact, they're looking at having to spend a whole ton of money to try and make up for the defense change. And of course, there's a question whether Europe will even agree to no war, because at that point, if you don't have war, you don't have Ukraine, then people start looking at what's going on in their own backyard, and yeah, they don't want that. Gold Hill holding up into a medium range, certainly doing better than crypto has done, and Bitcoin continuing making those lows. And so now we've reached all the way to this positive extreme going back from Bitcoin. We'd already talked about how we had covered it within the ETH space. You got a couple of more that go back all the way to early November, and that's at a much lower point. Gotta wait for my little death, but you can see from a reading standpoint, still having MBI White leading from the charge, and again, that orange staying caught right in between cyan and red, and you see the effect of it was a continuation. In this case, it was sideways for a while, but then once we got the magenta completely breaking that, and it never really was able to get past, all the way back from the beginning of February above that 25 level. I'd made an attempt at it, and it was nothing there. Couldn't do it. And so likewise, ETH looking pretty close to exactly the same, just been weaker overall. And from the 50K, you can see we ended up basing down there, and then Magenta started taking the lead more. And then you had that rise of Magenta along with it, and that's usually enough for a little bit. But then MBI White took over, but Magenta kicked back above as MBI White completely faded. So you'll have to see that reversal again, where MBI White comes back up and the magenta comes down before you'll see any pullback. But for now, it's relatively decent. And the big bonus for it was the rising gold here from a shakeout being in the positive side. And once it gets there, you got a pretty good shot to run towards that 6,000 marker again So that's what we'll be looking at from that standpoint. If selling starts to take place, then we'll get that flip of the NBI white, and it'll be pretty clear. Currently in the post-market, pre-market, you guys, from European sessions, looking pretty solid from that standpoint. There's been some softness right as we're approaching, but when we go back to yesterday's action, you can see the fall off happened early and then the build up, and that's pretty much how it rose straight across from there. It was just a continued battle between puts and calls and trying to stabilize within that. And even though you have a general direction that's built into it, you still got to have that intraday back and forth pull. Otherwise, the book gets too lopsided. So they have to balance it out. As always, pretty clean stuff though, but nice volatility. It's not going to stop. We expect more of the same. As always, though, trade well. Have a good one. Anything relevant, I'll put on Skype chat.